Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to do a galaxy cup. So first of all, if you have not heard of Jessica Flynn, you should definitely search her on YouTube. She put out a galaxy cup for beginners and she uses epoxy. So I watched her video and was like, how can I do this with mostly shellac products? And that's what you're going to see here. So what I'm doing is painting on black gloss. I have prepped my tumbler. This one is not a Makerflo cup, so it did not come pre-sanded. So I layered the shellac. I buy a pint of the liquid on Amazon instead of the spray. It lasts longer, and I just paint on 3 layers of the shellac. Each layer in between, when it dries, and then do another layer, and I do 3. So I'm using a tack-on brush to put the black gloss on. And I ended up doing 3 layers of black gloss. So you're going to let those layers dry every 4 hours, or 4 hours in between, I should say. I really love the gloss from shellac. It is amazing stuff. And a tip that I shared on TikTok that I haven't mentioned on here is when I prep my cup, I also put some coconut oil on the inside rim of that cup. That way, if I get any paint or BT in there, it'll repel from it and it won't stick to it. It makes it a lot easier to clean the inside of that cup after I'm finished with it. So you see me going across in long, even strokes because I'm trying to make sure that I don't have a bunch of brush strokes in there. You're not going to make your bristles bend at all here. You're just lightly gliding the tip of that brush across that cup to try to remove as many brush strokes as you can. But again, you're going to do 3 layers of the black gloss. So next, I wanted to put some Brite Tone in a little cup and mix in some Deep Space mica. And I got these micas that I'm using here from the Tumbler Craft Depot here on this page. It's April's Micas, and they're really, really awesome. So you can mix in as much or as little as you want. I just mixed how I wanted, how it looked like I wanted it. And now I started out here after I mixed that together using a paintbrush to brush that on. So as I started doing this, I really did not like how it looked. It looked streaky to me. There was lots of brush strokes. I even tried to use a bigger brush because I wasn't liking the smaller brush, but I still wasn't digging it. So I'm going to switch some things up here in just a second, but I wanted you to see this part of the video because I know a lot of people get stressed out and think they're going to mess up a cup. You're not going to mess it up. If something's not working out, just change it up. It'll be fine. It'll just smooth right over. You'll be okay. So since I was not digging how this was looking, I decided to sponge it on instead of brushing it on. Absolutely love the look and how it turns out when I do that too. I just used a kitchen sponge. I cut them into pieces so that I can make one last for a long time. And so I take my BT and mica mixture and I dip my sponge into it. I wet the sponge first so that way it's soft. And I just start sponging all over the cup. Now, by the way, I really hate this turner. I only got it for tutorials, but man, it just is a wobbly, hot mess. But anyhow, you get the point. So I'm just sponging those purple or Deep Space mica with the BT mixed in all over my cup. I loved how it gave it this textured look. I think it looks really cool. And so that's what you see me doing. And if you like the brushed look of the mica, you can definitely do that. I just preferred it to have a more textured look. And so that's why I switched over to my sponge. This was a really fun cup to make. It's really not hard. You can't mess it up. Everybody's is going to look different. Every cup is going to look different. It's a lot of fun. I'm just looking back over my cup to make sure there's not any spots that I missed. Make sure that it blends well together. If any areas look funky, then I'll just smooth those out. All right, now you can see the texture as I zoomed in on it. It looks pretty cool. I'm super happy with how that looks. I love those micas. They are awesome. So I'm going to let that dry for 4 hours. And then I'm going to take some white spray paint and I'm just going to spray some spurts of white on there. So I'm not spraying the whole cup. As you can see, I'm just being careful to just put a few spots on there. And this was the technique that caught my eye on Jessica Flynn's cup. So whenever you can no longer smell the spray paint, you can move forward. For me, that's usually about 24 hours, sometimes a little bit less. Depending on the paint you use, it could be up to 48 hours. So I'm using Bombay ink, the purple, teal, and magenta, and I'm using my sponges. I've made sure to wet those. And I just have a paper plate over there so that I can put my ink on. It's just easy. There's the magenta. Make sure you shake those up really well. They're pigment based, so they definitely need to be shaken up really, really well. And if you guys have any questions along the way of this process, you just let me know and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. So I'm starting on the outer edge of the white, and I'm using teal here. And I'm just going to sponge around the outside of that white. There's going to be like some excess, like little tiny specks of spray of the white on your cup. I just go ahead and color those as you see me going all around there with my ink. Then I'm going to go around the inside of that teal with some magenta. You can do this however you want. This is just what I wanted to do. I thought it looked cool like this, so that's the colors I chose, and that's how I chose to do them. You can choose any colors you want. When I think of deep space galaxy cups, I think of purple and magenta and teal, and those are some of my favorite colors, so that's why I use them. And as these dry, you will notice that some of them get a little bit lighter. So I do go back in as they're drying, as I'm going, and dab even more ink on them until it's like I want it once it dries. And when you put your BT on here, it's going to brighten it back up. So right there, what I did was I used my little spritzer pen to spray some alcohol on there. I wanted to see what kind of effect it gave it. It really did not do anything to those Bombay inks at all. I don't know anything about chemistry. Maybe you guys already knew that, but I just wanted to check it out and see what it did. It did nothing. So here I just go ahead and wipe off that alcohol I sprayed on there, and I just kept right on moving. I'm glad that so many of you have told me that you like that I troubleshoot stuff as I'm doing the tutorials. I hope that it makes things a little bit less intimidating for you. You're really not going to hurt anything by trying things. If they don't work out, then they don't work out. It's not the end of the world. I hear a lot of people saying that they're so afraid to use their products, and I'm like, what are you afraid of? It's not going to blow up. So there you see me adding more and more ink on here, all around those tiny little white spots. And I chose to show you, usually I try to shorten things up a little bit, but I chose to show you this whole inking process just because I want you to feel confident in doing it, and I just want you to see exactly how I did everything. These inks dry really fast, but I let them dry for a good 4 hours when I'm finished just because I want to make absolute sure when I put the BT on there it's not going to run at all. I've never really had that problem, so if you use less dry time, that's fine too. Even as quickly as I ink that and I flip it over on that paper towel to do the backside, none of that got on the paper towel. It was already dry. I've actually never used alcohol inks. I kind of want to try them sometimes, but then I don't know. I can't really justify buying them because I can do everything I need to do with Bombay inks. I even use Bombay inks for my wood grains, and it works fine. So here I used magenta on the outside and teal on the inside. And actually, maybe I used purple. Yeah, purple, magenta, and teal. I used all three colors there. There, I'm starting out with my teal. And you don't have to cover the white completely up. You can leave a little bit of the white showing too. You're just going to be able to see all kinds of dimension and texture on this cup, and I love that. Now you see how that dried, and it's a little bit lighter than I would like. So I'm going to go back over all of these at some point during this process and put even more ink until I get it as bright as I want. This is actually a really easy cup to make. I do have a group connected to my business page on Facebook. I've had a lot of tumbler makers join it, but so far I'm not really getting a lot of interaction on it, so I'm not really sure how long I'll keep it. But if you guys are interested in joining that group, the links are in the bio of this video, and I would love some interaction and any questions that you guys have about Crystal-Lac products or any techniques that you see me do, feel free to ask. I'm always happy to help. Also have TikTok where I try to put shortened versions of tutorials on there and other pictures and videos of finished cups that I do. I recently launched an Etsy shop, so I'm trying to get that up and going. Etsy's hard, man. Trying to figure out those SEOs and algorithms, it's a lot. And I just want to emphasize that this is how I did it. If you find other ways that work better for you, then that's perfectly fine. There's probably 100 different ways to do the same cup. Sorry about the background noise. I have a lot of dogs and turners turning. So I just keep turning it and looking at it to see if there are any areas that aren't as bright as I like them. And if they're not, then I just brighten them up. Sorry that I'm out of the camera lens there. You can see there how much brighter that pink is now that I've put some extra on there. And if you have alcohol inks, I'm sure that it would look really pretty if you use those rather than Bombay. Just make sure that if you do use alcohol inks that you seal them really, really well. With Bombay inks, you don't have to seal them. All right, so now you can see how the inks ended up. There you go. I'm going to let those dry for about 4 hours, and then I'll move on. I'm putting a layer of Brite Tone on this cup. I just wanted to get all the inks and everything locked in there on that cup. So I chose to do a layer of Brite Tone before I moved on to do anything else. And we are going to add something else, so keep watching. I absolutely love the fact that I can use Brite Tone with my bare finger and I don't need PPE, and it's non-toxic, it's completely safe to use. I love that, because if this product wasn't available, I would not be able to do cups because I do not have the ventilation in my home to do epoxy. I know a lot of people get freaked out by the amount of layers it takes to use this product, but the layers are super duper thin and it literally takes like 30 seconds to put a layer on a cup. Also, you can take that cup off of the turner and put it on a drying rack after an hour because it's dry to the touch, and then put more cups on your turner. So you can essentially do twice the amount of cups at the same time. All right, so I got that layer on there and I'm going to let it dry for 4 hours. This is what it looks like with the one layer of Brite Tone on there. All right, you guessed it. Let's dry for 4 more hours and then we'll move on. So here I'm using Snow Caps Mica mixed with some BT, and I'm going to put this all over this cup because I want it to have a shimmer to it. And like I said, you don't have to do this part if you don't want to, but I just wanted an added pop to it. I love texture, I love dimensions, so I figured this would really set this cup off, and I was not disappointed. All right, so I got that mixed up with BT, and it's not super duper thick, but you can see the consistency of it. Now, I want you guys to notice that when I put this on the cup, it's a lot of it. And you're going to see that it just kind of pours out over this cup. Don't freak out. It's okay. We're going to fix it. I added just a tiny little bit more BT, and here I go. So I just go ahead and put all of that I had in that little medicine cup on there. Now see, what I'm noticing here is that it's really thick, so I'm adding some BT. And I also am not going to go straight because it's going to put streaks in it, so you can see the streaks as I'm doing that, right? Alright, so now what I'm noticing is I've got some excess on there. I'm just talking you through how I did this, what it looked like, and what I did to fix the issues. Alright, so I'm going across the cup to get the excess off. I'm pulling it down to the bottom. I'm taking what's on the bottom off and putting it back into that medicine cup. So you see that it's making streaks go all the way down the cup, but we're going to fix it. So putting the excess on the bottom. Once I get a lot on the bottom, I pull it off and I put that right back in that medicine cup. Okay. Now that I've gotten all of the excess off, I'm going to just go back and forth and kind of swirl this on here to get the streaks out. Just going around the cup, just swirling it with my finger to get it to do what I want it to do. So that gets all the streaks out of it, and it moves it around the cup in a really, really pretty way. I know it's hard to see from this angle, but I'll give you some close-ups in here in just a couple minutes, so that, well, here in just a second. So after I got it swirled like I want it, then I'm going to let it dry for 4 hours. All right, there you go. You see that? Look at all that texture. Look at all that shimmer. I love that. And for those white dots you see, I forgot to mention that earlier, I added little white dots on there with the blunt end of a Q-tip, and I just dipped it in the white pigment, the crystalline white pigment, and that's what I used for those little white dots. Kind of look like stars. And there's the Galaxy cup. So I let that dry for 4 hours, and then I start layering my BT every 4 hours until smooth. It's already smooth, but get you a few layers on there and then add your decals and then layer every 4 hours until you're happy and the cup is smooth and exactly like you like it. I hope this was helpful, and if you have any questions, let me know. And of course, comment and let me know what kind of tutorial you'd like to see next. I'm running out of ideas here, guys. I need some help. Thank you.